All right, welcome to the show. I hope everyone's doing well. Uh, Another week come and gone. I had a few things on my mind this week, but one thing that kind of kept coming up was this feeling of uncertainty in my life. So I decided that this week I would put some attention on looking into the subject of uncertainty, and there there was a ton of information. When you go online, I can't believe how many videos have been done on uncertainty, which really brings to mind that makes it known that this is something that people are thinking about a lot, uh, and how it affects their lives. It seems to come in waves. It's like up and down, uh, and some of us handle it better than others. Maybe it was on my mind so much just because facets of my life right now seem to be a little uncertain, and that was why I was drawn to it. So yeah, I went out, I dug up some information to see what was going on in that field, and it, it starts off, it's kind of like narrow, but the subject of uncertainty, its tentacles seem to like spread out and grab all into all facets of reality. And there are different ways that people handle uncertainty. There's the very practical, scientific, minded people. They have a very, rational way of how to handle uncertainty. For them, it seems to be all about, you know, making sure you've got all your ducks lined up, doing all the right prep work for when bad things happen, so you don't get overwhelmed by it. So really practical people, they tend to use their time efficiently, prepping themselves, whether it's personal, like in personal development or financially. Uh, they tend to do a lot of work prepping for those uh, bad moments of uncertainty that might come, because you never know when something bad might happen. Uncertainty seems to like thrive on fear of the future and what you think might happen, and that's why people, they kind of get restless with that notion. They want this like security and knowing that everything's gonna be okay. And so by doing all the work to prep for a rainy day, it helps them feel a little bit more secure in their lives. But you can only do so much in that facet. There's the law of diminishing return. You can spend so much time prepping for a rainy day that it becomes counterproductive, where you waste your whole life, worrying about, what could happen, and you miss the life that's right in front of you. Which leads kind of into another way of dealing with uncertainty, which might reside more on the spiritual side spectrum, which is the embracing uncertainty, sitting with it. There's lots of things you can do, like practices of like just taking 10 or 20 minutes to yourself to go sit down and just get that feeling of uncertainty, purposely bring it into your attention, and accepting it, simply just accepting it. So I tried it a few times this week, and it actually, I think it made me feel better. It made me feel a little bit better. Now, I could just be deluding myself, but I did feel like like a sense of relief by accepting a certain amount, that uncertainty in my life, because we can do all the prep work there is, but really it is out of our control. Like, the nature of reality is uncertain. Anything could happen. A meteor could strike Earth tomorrow. So I think becoming more in tune with that uncertainty and embracing it, I think that's helpful. It's interesting also that in certain aspects of life, we like uncertainty. When we go to a sporting event, it would suck if we knew how the outcome of the sporting event was going to be, before we went. We wouldn't even go. How about a movie? Some of the things, some of the best aspects of a movie are an ending that you didn't see coming. So there's a lot of good that comes with uncertainty. Now, I was thinking about uncertainty and the law of attraction, how manifesting your dreams and making and wanting them to come true. And I was thinking to myself how uncertainty fits into that. It's good in the fact that life is a mystery, and how it unfolds. It's magical if you really think about it. There's no guarantee of anything, and it's just happening. And by taking in that being, I think we kind of can get some of that like mystical nature of reality back in our lives, that profundity, if you want to call it. It's truly magical if you think about it. Another way to maybe handle uncertainty, and I don't know if this is a good way to go about it, but the things that you're really afraid of, the things that, whether it's going bankrupt or getting sick or, a lot of it, I think, is tied up in our identity. Like, what would people think of me if, I just lost my job tomorrow, I went bankrupt, or have this, or, would people really love me? Some of those things, being able to accept how life is pushing you like a river and not fighting against the current, it could be liberating in a fact, because those types of events would just expose what people really think about you. And don't you want that? Wouldn't you rather a more authentic understanding of where you sit in all of it? I could see that, it could be liberating. Imagine being a rich guy and like wondering, do these people really like me, or are they just using me for my money? Going bankrupt might be the best thing that ever happened to you, because you'd see truly who cared about you, who was still with you at the end of it all. And you could kind of take that attitude into all the aspects of reality that come and hit us. So instead of fighting the current and trying to control it like a guy, being a dam and all this coming at you, maybe the best way to handle it is to let the current take you. I'd love to hear what you have to think about that. Put that in the comments. I'm not saying it is one way or the other. I'm just saying, this is some of the stuff that I looked up, some of the stuff that I learned about. It got me starting to think about like psychics and stuff like that, because I've been dabbling with tarot cards and stuff like that lately, and I find them fascinating. but who knows about this psychic stuff? If we're all truly, if there's like true psychics out there, wouldn't we all just be millionaires? We would guess the lottery and we'd know it. Or maybe psychic power moves differently. Maybe psychic power has to move with selflessness or something like that. There are lots of religions and spiritual groups out there that have, their prophets. Now, depending on what sect, what religion you are in, a lot of them tend to stick with their own guys. Obviously, like if you're talking outside of the book of their belief, you're evil and we'll have to burn you at a stake or something like that. No, I don't know. But usually they're going to stick with their own crew, and they set themselves out that way. I'm kind of more, open to whatever there. I don't know, but I went searching, like I do every week for, spiritual, literature and stuff on psychics and stuff like that. But one of the first things I stumbled across was, again, I gotta hand it to Vice, man. Another kick-ass documentary. And this one I landed on was on indigo children. And because I was just looking up psychic abilities and stuff like that, and I was brought to this documentary, which you can check out on YouTube. Vice is the best for this stuff. And anyway, I got some stuff here written down. But in the 70s, there was this lady named Nancy Ann Tape, and she was she came up with this idea of indigo children, and basically it put attention on the classic child type that usually has a hard time focusing in school. They don't line up with your regular social norms and stuff like that. They tend to not fit in, but they're strong-willed. They usually have high empathy in them. And she thought that these were like a new evolutionary type of being birthed on Earth. And, because they were so different, she believed that they had, special abilities. And there's this indigo children thing is very popular. If you look online, you'll find this stuff all over the place. But apparently, some of them can have like psychic abilities or telepathy, and certain characteristics like that. I was looking more at like the psychic stuff and was curious about that. But these type of children, there's like a mix. This is kind of like the pseudoscience looking at these children, and then you've got like your other more standard, your typical scientists who would classify these children as ADHD or ADD, maybe autistic. I'm not sure about that. And like the documentary kind of focused a bit on like, whether or not we should be medicating these kids or just letting them be who they are. And regardless of what they bring to the table. Also, another characteristic of these kids is that they some of them can tend to be, like troublemakers and stuff like that in school. But they all grow up, they all become adults, and there are adults today that would say, oh yeah, I'm an indigo, or I was an indigo child. And yeah, they all seem to be a little quirky, like all the stuff that I listed there, they all have like their own ways about them. They don't tend to fit the social norm. And I don't know, got me kind of thinking. I know lots of people who have ADHD and ADD and all these, like just so-called disorders. Maybe the whole indigo thing was to maybe try and put a positive spin on it to make them not feel like there's something wrong with them. But then we medicate these kids, so they can become more normalized. If we are so-called normal, who's to say what is normal, right? And so we medicate them so they can focus and become more like us, so that they can live in the world that the normal people have created, so they can, work hard and become good capitalists and bring in a paycheck. But I'm thinking to myself, what does that say really about us? Can we only love or accept people that, are productive in a way that, brings in finance? Or is life just that ruthless that it's either, join the herd, or, too bad, so sad. I guess you'll, out in the cold with you. Maybe it's a call to us to be able to, love, someone who might not be as much like us, or to love someone just for who they are and not, what they can give back to me or society. I know that could be, a stretch for some people. I'm not saying either or. I'm just bringing it to light as, who knows? What if we're suppressing when we drug all these kids up? What if they are evolving and we're suppressing that evolution of humanity? I don't know. Again, you could throw that down in the comments. I'd love to know what you think about that. There's lots of parents, man, who deal with this, and that this struggle to be, whether or not I should be putting my kid on this medication. What are the long-term effects of this stuff? What if we are suppressing, spiritual abilities? Who knows where? I have a feeling like 100 years from now, we're going to have such a better understanding of this. And we will look back on this as like, living in the Stone Age, where we, everyone just getting drugged up so they, can produce well. But yeah, that's kind of, my take on that. But anyway, yeah, it's kind of a short one tonight. I just want to thank everyone for coming out and watching the show. I hope you liked it. If you liked it, hit the like button. Subscribe, share, all that stuff helps me out, helps promote the channel. And I hope you guys take it easy. I'll see you next week. And until then, stay spiritual.